So here is our forward and reverse switch. You can see our rod. So we're going to do away with all of that. We're going to do away with that rod that goes all the way up to your, we can get rid of all of this plate and everything. Then we're going to go with the push button forward and reverse there. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Kart Smart TV. Probably going to be a little loud this time. Got my heaters running. It's pretty doggone cold outside. Today's episode is going to be on converting your old style forward and reverse switch to the new style push button forward and reverse switch. You'll see in another video that I did an older model EZGO. This is going to be a little bit newer model style. This conversion particularly works the best with the 36 volt model EZGO. Probably do an old school marathon if you wanted to. It'd have to be solid state though. It couldn't be the resistor style cart. You can do the Medalist, which is the basically like the TXT, but it's got the metal body on it. That's the video, the previous video that we will have up here. That one you're going to see a little bit different controller. It is still a 5-pin, just as what we're going to be working on here as well. So let's dive into the cart. But it's just your normal TXT with the 6 volt battery setup in it. It takes 6 volts to make you 36 volts to be able to power up your controller. It is still our normal 5-pin plug up. The only difference with this controller and the controller you're going to see in the previous video is that there's an actual one more tab here for the high amp circuit. So here is our forward and reverse switch. You can see our rod, and that rod is god awful for staying in alignment properly, so that when it's moving those contacts right there, sometimes it doesn't move it all the way to the right position and it won't make contact and run. Sometimes they just melt down because the heat doesn't dissipate out of it quick enough, and so it just builds up and starts melting down your lugs where your big high amp cables are on. So we're going to do away with all of that. We're going to do away with that rod that goes all the way up to your lever. So the lever's getting moved, and we're going to go with the push button forward and reverse there. The thing you do is you take your power off your batteries, of course. You don't want any power on this whatsoever when you do this. My initial first thing is to get my rod and lever, and then you have this, you can see this plate right here, all this plate, you got 2 screws in the top. Take that out, get that all the way out of the way. We can get rid of all of this plate and everything, and then run our wires through the hole over here to our the new mechanism that it's going to take to make the forward and reverse happen. Alright guys, so once you get your 2 bolts out from here, and then you get your nut off of the forward and reverse switch right there, you'll get all of that out together. And then you can move on to taking the wires off of your switch. You're going to have a wire like this hooked to that first micro switch there. Now that wire may come from your battery, or it may come from your charge port, because that is basically a safety switch that provides the battery voltage to this micro switch, so that way when the cart is charging, that switch, which is called the reed switch, it kicks in and keeps the golf cart from being able to take off while it is charging. So we're going to get that wire out of the way for now. You will need that when you go back with the new stuff. Alright, so there's also a blue wire on the same micro switch on this tab. You got to unplug it. And then on the micro switch right here, on the bottom side, there's an orange wire, and you unplug that orange wire from that. Then you'll have your ground wire for your reverse buzzer. You just unplug that from the reverse buzzer, get it out of your way. Getting your high amp cables off the back side of the forward and reverse switch. You do need to label them if you possibly can, if they're not already labeled. Some are labeled with A2, S1, S2, and A2 or A1. The wiring schematic that you will get with this kit will show you how to wire it up to the new forward and reversing solenoid, and how to wire up the small wires Also, the two 13 mil bolts that are in the bottom of the bracket, and you come from underneath the golf cart to get to those nuts that are holding this to the golf cart. Alright guys, there we go. Got our forward and reverse switch out. And so to get a better look at it, there's high amp cables on these 4 lugs right here. You get those nuts off, pull the cables off, and then like I said, you're going to pull the orange wire from this far micro switch off. There's going to be a blue or a green wire here, and then there'll either be a blue, a red, or a green wire here. You pull all that off of it, you get that bolt out, and that bolt out, and this whole thing comes out. And then you're going to need an 11 millimeter socket and wrench. You're going to get this bolt out, get that bolt out, because you need this bracket right here to bolt the new forward and reversing solenoid to, and then this can be bolted back to the cart like it was OEM. The new solenoid, just use that bracket on the bottom of the forward and reverse, throw the rest of it in the trash. There you go guys. So when you pull the bolts out of the bottom of your F&R switch right here, get a drill bit that's pretty much the same size as them bolts. Mark your holes where your feet are going to land on your solenoid. Drill you a couple holes, attach those bolts in there like that, and then you have this whole bracketry like this. And so this is going to go back down in there, bolt back to where it was originally bolted, and then you can go from there. But as you can see, also that is labeled where the wires are supposed to go. All you have to do is identify which one is which, and then put them to your corresponding lugs there. Alright guys, there we go. We got all our high amp cables 1, 2, 3, and 4 attached to the solenoid. And so up here in the front, right across the front of this solenoid right here, you're going to have 3 male blades that are sticking out. Green, you're going to have your white, and then you'll have your yellow and orange. Those 3 are the ones that'll plug into the front. Okay, and then you're going to have your white with the ring terminal in the end that goes straight to the negative of the battery pack. You'll have your green, your red with the white tracer stripe in it, and then you'll have your yellow, which attaches to the forward and reverse switch itself. Then you'll have your orange wire that goes to the orange wire that was hooked up to your forward and reverse switch on that far micro switch. And then you have the red and white that has no end on it, and what you're going to do is you're going to put a small ring terminal for the solenoid side, which is going to be the one with the 2 red wires. There's our 2 red wires right there, and you can see they're attached to that small lug right there, where you're going to take that nut off, crimp a ring terminal on your red and white stripe, and then you're going to hook it to that. And before you put your rocker pod and rocker switch to the body, you just test everything, power the golf cart back up, test it all, make sure it's operating forward and reverse like it's supposed to. Alright guys, so that's what I was talking about right there. There's your red with the white stripe, white tracer. You're going to put a ring terminal, the small ring terminal like that on it, and then your orange wire, you're going to put the male spade end on it, and you're just going to plug it up to that, and then you'll run your red straight to the red with the solenoid. Alright guys, so when you're wiring up your rocker switch, the red with the white tracer will go in the middle because it provides the voltage, and then the green and yellow go on either side. Now if you put it together, and that's why I've left it off of the body, is to be able to test it. If you put this thing together and it goes forward and reverse, and then reverse and forward, then you just swap these 2 right here, and that takes care of that issue. Remember, you have to provide power back to the key switch. So here is the reason for that jumper from the main positive of the battery pack to your key switch wire, which in this case is a blue wire. Generally that's what the color is. So once you get 36 volts flow into that, you should have cart operation. And then here is our red wire with the white tracer to the lug of the solenoid, and then of course our orange wire that we put a male spade on and plugged into the female side of the orange wire. Then here is your white wire connected straight to the main negative of the battery pack. We give it a try. So we're going to put it in reverse here, and we have operation. Nice and smooth there. That's the best part about this system, is it brings in a little bit more, it brings in a better throttle control, a smoother throttle control we'll say, and so that way you know, you feel it a little sooner, you feel a little bit more of the energy that goes to the motor. It's not a whole lot, but you really can tell how it smooths out the pedal a lot. It's just time for us to put our housing to the body. Couple of self-tapping screws, some really sharp, you know, like Phillips head screws or something will do just fine. And then you just come in here and you zip tie all your wires up with, you know, manage it a little bit, throw your cover back on, and you are good to go. Alright everybody, it is all done. Got our new solenoid, forward and reversing solenoid, all our wires put together. We have now mounted up our rocker pod and popped the switch into the pod. Got our zip ties holding on to our wiring harness, that way it doesn't get all tore up when the golf cart flexes and all that stuff. Now it's time to take this thing for a full-blown ride, see what happens, and make sure that it's all good to go. And as always guys, thank you for watching the channel. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up, grab that bell so you can see all these new videos we're putting out through the rest of the year. Don't forget to subscribe guys, and thank you all for who have subscribed so much. And please follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram. I'm pretty sure we're on there. My Golf Cart Shop. We'd love to have you as a follower. Thank you for watching the video. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. God bless you all.